Started off working at my mom's house, but I'm still stuck inside my mom's house. Dreaming about 10 bands when I'm walking out. Then I wake up, boy, what you talking about? You ain't never gonna catch me slipping. Just wait until you see me winning. And I'ma tell you from the jump, I just hope you listen. Homie, wait until you see me winning.
This is Absurdity Sports. I'm Chase Hope.
I'm Tex Armstreet. Tom Brady's not the greatest quarterback to ever play the football game.
And we've already lived up to the name, man. He's
Hey.
already said it.
It's a new name, same game plan. Just a little more absurd this time. He's still not the greatest quarterback of all time. But, you know, speaking of greatest quarterbacks of all time,
Tex, you are absurd.
Tom Brady is in the running for the MVP.
Yep.
You know. So is Todd Gurley. The top five candidates are Tom Brady, Todd Gurley, Carson Wentz, Drew Brees, and Antonio Brown.
Todd Gurley's got it.
I disagree.
Pull up his stats.
Okay. Let's see here. Todd Gurley. All right, so Todd Gurley, so he played in 15 games, started 15 games.
Yeah, he sat out that last one.
Yeah, 13 touchdowns, 1,300 yards.
Does this include his receiving touchdown?
Yeah, this is rushing and receiving.
Okay.
13 touchdowns, he 4.7 yards per attempt. His receiving yards was 788. He had 6 touchdowns receiving, so altogether he had 19 touchdowns and right around 2,000 all-purpose yards.
And you said he was averaging 4.7 a carry? That's almost 5 yards.
Rushing, and then for
4.7 a carry is rushing. That's absurd. And
60.
that's crazy.
I was surprised by 64 receptions. I didn't know he had 64 receptions.
And the award, people got to remember, the award's not most outstanding, it's most valuable. And Todd Gurley is more valuable to the Rams and to the success they had this season than Tom Brady is to the Patriots. And I'm not feeding your argument that Tom Brady's not the greatest quarterback of all time at all.
I have 2 questions. Let's be honest here and say that the MVP is never going to go to a non-quarterback, or rarely ever will it ever go to a non-quarterback. Also,
It will this year.
Can the Rams win football games without Todd Gurley?
I don't know. Did they win? They didn't win a lot of games last year. They didn't win a lot of games before he was drafted.
They also didn't win a lot of games because of their coaches. Anyways, so
here's my thing: the Patriots have shown they can win games without Tom Brady. Jacoby Brissett has. Jimmy Garoppolo has.
Because he's not
Matt
the greatest
Castle
quarterback
has.
of all time. Yeah, because he's not the greatest quarterback of all time. So that's what I'm saying is most of the time it's always been the most valuable quarterback.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like they put an emphasis on this quarterback position like it's the be all end all of a football team, and that it's always the most valuable player. You know what I'm saying? But because I feel like
I think quarterback's the most valuable position, but I think
disagree.
it goes to the most valuable player.
Yeah, exactly. Like a couple years ago, one of my guys, J.J. Watt, he played on offense and defense, had his second 20.5 sack season.
He had like 2 touchdowns on offense?
4 touchdowns on offense. Okay, and then he had 3 touchdowns on defense. He should have won MVP, hands down.
He should have won Defensive Player of the Year.
He should have won MVP because he was the most valuable player. You can't tell me a player during that year that was more valuable than he was.
Yeah, I can. It was the guy that won the MVP that year.
Who was it, Chase?
I don't know off the top of my head. What year
Aaron
was
Rodgers.
it? Exactly. Aaron Rodgers is more valuable, boy.
No. Because they can still win football games. They can still win football games without Aaron Rodgers.
Are you telling me the Texans wouldn't have won football games without J.J. Watt?
We didn't win.
Hell, they won football games without him this year.
We won 4.
Because Deshaun Watson got hurt.
We won 4.
Y'all didn't win much after him.
No, but you said the most valuable player, and he was the most valuable player because he did it on both sides of the ball. He's the only player to ever have 2 20-plus sack seasons. Yeah. When you're telling me an offense, like you said, greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, what you said.
He just admitted it.
I said what you said. When they came in to face Houston, they solely made up a game plan for J.J. Watt alone. They said when you come out of the huddle, you find number 99. Wherever he's at, that's where you need to be at. And you're going to tell me he wasn't the most valuable player. Absolutely absurd. So another candidate for MVP is Carson Wentz. He only played 13 games, but he had 3,200 yards, Only 7 interceptions as opposed to 33 touchdowns.
But if he plays the 3 other games, he's getting over at least 4,000 yards.
Oh, yeah,
least.
no doubt. And he'll probably get 40 touchdowns, too. You know what I'm saying?
How many touchdowns he had during those 13 games?
33.
Crazy.
That's passing. I don't know about his.
See, if he stays healthy, it's between him and Tom Brady.
So he had.
As far as quarterbacks go.
Yeah.
But Todd Gurley would still be up in there.
Well, I also think because you can't really argue. It's the same like reason why people call me absurd for saying Deshaun Watson deserved to be part of the Rookie of the Year conversation was because he missed a lot of games. Yada yada yada. But another player that people aren't bringing up. So I mean, my point to that was you can't really bring Carson Wentz into it because he missed games. You know what I'm saying? You got to play the whole season.
And that's unfortunate due to injury.
Now, if he misses 2 games or 1 game, maybe. Okay. But another player that nobody brings up is Antonio Brown.
Greatest wide receiver, baby.
Right now, yes.
All time, baby.
Anyways, he is so valuable to the Steelers because you see what happens when they don't have him. They almost lose football games. They find a way.
Big Ben loves throwing to him.
They almost lost to the Browns.
I mean, hell, the Titans almost lost to the Browns,
Just because
too.
the Titans are a terrible football team. But the Steelers almost lost to the Browns, okay? Antonio Brown is one of the most valuable players in the National Football League. You put him on 31 teams, and he's the number 1 wide receiver there is. You know what I'm saying?
You put him on all teams, he's the number 1.
I'm talking about as far as coaching and like would they actually take him over some of the other guys that have. So like what I'm saying is some of the team personnel. Like if you were to put him on the Texans, I don't know if Bill Belichick would start him as the number 1 guy over DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not saying whether he should or not. I'm just saying I don't know if he would.
I mean,
because teams like their guy more than they like somebody else's guy. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So like, what I'm saying is he's the best wide receiver. He's the most valuable wide receiver in the wide receiver position because of his route running, his catching ability, turning incomplete passes into complete passes. He's one of the best wide receivers. I think he deserves to be MVP.
Higher up.
I think he deserves to be MVP. It's hard to argue
over Gurley and
Yeah.
Brady.
Yes,
You've lost your damn mind.
because of what he meant to the team. Because of what he meant, like Tom Brady can leave the Patriots and they still win football games. Todd Gurley can leave the Rams and they could still win football games. You take Antonio Brown out of Steel City, they're not winning football games.
They'll win a few.
Yeah, but what does a few matter? Anybody can win a few games.
The
minus
Patriots
the
would
Browns.
win a few. The Rams would only win a few.
If the Patriots had Jimmy Garoppolo still and they would put him in, they would still have the same record. They would still be 11-5 or 12-13, 12-3, whatever it was. I just completely agree because, like I said, Tom Brady's a product of his environment. And so I don't think that Tom Brady was the most valuable player in the National Football because he didn't play like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't play like Tom Brady. You would expect Tom Brady to play because Tom Brady. I'll pull up his stats real quick. So this year, Tom Brady had 4,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and then that's just his passing.
4,500 yards.
Yep.
And you said 32 touchdowns?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a pretty good Tom Brady year.
Carson Wentz had 33 and missed the last 3 games.
Yeah, but how many yards did he have?
3 something.
He wouldn't have got 45.
So yards is the only thing that matters?
No, but I'm just saying Tom Brady had a good year.
Deshaun Watson was on pace for a better statistical year than Tom Brady was.
There's a difference though on pace versus doing. I mean that's like saying dude comes up to the plate first game, hits a home run. Oh, he's on pace for 162 home runs.
I don't know if it's the same though.
Because
I'm
just saying on pace can literally mean anything.
Yeah, but he played almost half the season. So if a guy plays half of a baseball season, he's hitting 300. You can predict he's most likely going to hit 300 for the season. If a guy makes it to the halfway season in the NFL and he's thrown 16 touchdowns, you're like, okay, he's probably going to be around 30 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson had 22 touchdowns in his first 5 games started. Okay, like he was going to have one of the best statistical years in the history of the NFL as a quarterback, especially as a rookie. Okay, if he's a rookie and he was gonna finish, if you add his rushing touchdowns and his passing touchdowns, and he was gonna finish with around 46 or 47 touchdowns, and 55 is the all-time mark. And Tom had 32 I said, 32 touchdowns, and he's the greatest quarterback ever.
He is the greatest quarterback ever. Why do you say it like it's a question?
What do you mean? What I say?
Why do you say it like it's a question?
Listen, I'm not going to get into the argument whether Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time again because he's not, and that's fine. It's just the way it is. But going back to Antonio Brown, best wide receiver. I think if we're talking about wide receivers, though, I think DeAndre Hopkins has a chance to be better than he is. Because I feel like DeAndre Hopkins, with the type of team that he's going to have Will Fuller on the opposite of him to be able to spread the offense open and open the field up. He's going to have Deshaun Watson, who's going to be arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Hold on. You're arguing to me that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be overtake Antonio Brown as the best wide receiver?
Yes.
And you're going to use Will Fuller opposite as a argument?
Yes.
Can't do that. Because Antonio Brown has Juju Smith-Schuster opposite. I would say Martavis, but his future in Pittsburgh is still unknown.
He also has Big Ben thrown to him.
Okay.
The time that DeAndre Hopkins had Deshaun Watson thrown to him, he was playing better and had was better statistically than Antonio Brown was in that time. In those games that Deshaun Watson played, he was better than Antonio Brown. He had more touchdowns, had more receiving yards than Antonio Brown. He gets hurt, has Tom Garbage Bag thrown to him, and he starts falling off, and he still made the Pro Bowl. He's still an All-Pro selection. He still had double-digit touchdowns. He still had 1,300 yards.
Okay, but as our buddy said, our good friend Trey Gwynn said, the thing DeAndre Hopkins lacks that Antonio Brown has is that after-the-catch ability.
That's just one aspect. That's one aspect of being a receiver.
Of being a receiver is being able to make guys miss, being able to make plays.
And he does make those plays. He does make. He may not make them as much as Antonio Brown does, but he still makes them. That's the product of not watching game film. Like, obviously, I'm a Texans fan, so I know more about him because I watch him all the time. But he has the ability to break off. He had 4 or 5.
I'm not saying he doesn't.
No. He had 4 or 5 70-yard plus catches this year where he caught the ball on with only 20 yards and then made a 50-yard play. But if you're DeAndre Hopkins and you have a quarterback who can throw the ball deep to you, you don't have to do that because you can just go up and get it. He is the best toe-tapping wide receiver in the league right now.
I'll give you that.
You know what I'm saying? And I think if he has an adequate quarterback throwing to him, a quarterback who can put the ball where he needs to put it, that DeAndre Hopkins will overtake every other wide receiver in the NFL. Period.
Point blank, huh?
Simple as that. Simple as that.
The one thing that DeAndre Hopkins does have on Antonio Brown is obviously the age.
Yeah.
But I mean, for Antonio Brown, man, it's hard for me to say anybody right now is going to overpass.
I'm not saying it's going to be an easy fight either. I'm not saying he's just going to magically do it next year. I'm saying at the end of their careers, DeAndre Hopkins will go down as a better wide receiver and a better winner than Antonio Brown.
I don't think so. There's no way because there's been so much of it. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has already been in the league for several years, and I'll give you, he's never had that quarterback.
He's never had a quarterback, period.
But man, Antonio Brown is something honestly we've never even seen before.
So let me ask you this: so if
he's 5'10" and you throw him a jump ball 9 times out of 10, he's coming down with it.
So he's a good athlete.
He's a hell of an athlete.
Okay, yeah. That didn't make him the greatest wide receiver. I'm not saying that he's not the best in the game right now. But I'm saying, if you put him on a team where Tommy Garbage Bag is thrown to him, is he still Antonio Brown?
Yes.
No, because the ball's not going to be there.
Have you seen him play with Landry Jones?
How many times has he played with Landry Jones?
It doesn't matter. The times he has, he still had a game.
How many times has he played with Landry Jones? How many games?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
How many games has DeAndre Hopkins played with Tom Savage?
He literally played all but, 5 games this season? So,
6. Well, okay. Tom Savage started.
Third quarter. He played 3 quarters in the first game.
Okay. But it doesn't matter.
But it wasn't even Tom Savage. It's Tom Savage. It's Case Keenum before Case Keenum was good.
What was DeAndre Hopkins with Osweiler? Pretty much non-existent.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. I completely disagree. And it's a product of people not looking and not listening and not watching football games.
Listen, Tex. I watch football games, and I definitely watched them last year. And don't be mad because your Texans threw $72 million at a quarterback who can't even hit the broadside of a damn barn.
I'm sorry, were you talking about Marcus Mariota? Oh, wait, he didn't get $72 million. I'm sorry. So, last year...
Because Mariota's still on his rookie deal. But that has nothing to do with this. I'm just saying, DeAndre Hopkins did not have a good year with Osweiler.
He had 1,000 yards.
Okay, 1,000 yards.
Yeah, because he had a terrible quarterback throwing to him. Terrible quarterback thrown to him in 2015. He had 4 different quarterbacks in 2015. Case Keenum, Brandon Weeden, Tom Savage, and Brian Hoyer.
I'm not going to be the guy that says Brian Hoyer is a terrible quarterback. He is now. He's not what he was. But I mean,
Ben?
even with the Browns, he won several games with the Browns.
Is he Big Ben? Is he on the level of Big Ben?
No.
Okay, so in that year, he had 4 quarterbacks. He had 11 touchdowns, 1,500 yards.
Okay. But in that year, Brian Hoyer also stared him down like there was nobody else on the field. And DeAndre Hopkins is that guy. Like you said, he can come down and get it.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, if you put him on a team with a quarterback, a stable quarterback position, he will put up the best numbers in the league over Antonio Brown.
No, he will not have better numbers than Antonio Brown. Maybe a season or two, but he will not be able to do it on a consistent year-to-year basis.
Yes, he will.
No, he won't.
He had, in the 5 games that Deshaun Watson played, he had 7 touchdowns in 5 games. 5. So that means if he even plays 15, he's on pace for 21 touchdowns. And Antonio Brown...
The on-pace term to me, you need to use it loosely.
No, because you're literally taking a mathematical equation for what they did and then putting it towards what the rest of their season would be.
Like I said, a guy hits a home run.
Antonio Brown
1.
had 9 touchdowns this year. 9. Antonio Brown had 9 touchdowns this year, okay? But we got a guy who wants to chime in. Chase, I'll let you introduce him. He's your buddy.
All right, this is our good friend, Trey Gwynn. He's really wanting to chime in on this topic. What you got, Trey?
I think that Hopkins is the closest thing to Julio Jones there is. And Julio Jones, in my opinion, is not even close to Antonio Brown.
Because Antonio Brown's had 250-yard plus games, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No. Antonio Brown had 3 250-yard plus games.
No, I'm not saying that.
Because Julio Jones did. Julio Jones is pretty good.
He did. And he does
Oh, my God.
he does have a better quarterback than Hopkins does. But I think if Matt Ryan's throwing to both of them, I think they put up equal numbers right at each other.
I disagree.
So you think Hopkins would be better than Antonio Brown?
Yes. I do.
I don't see it.
Because what I'm trying to tell you is this year he had 2 quarterbacks who were not even close to Big Ben. Okay? Sure, Deshaun Watson was dynamic, but he was not close to what Big Ben can do. And he had 5 touchdowns in those 7 games, like I said. He finished the season with 13 with a no-name quarterback. Your boy Antonio, even though he had a lot of yards, he only had 9 touchdowns.
Your argument though is you said your argument is that's one part of being a wide receiver. Touchdowns is only one part of the game. In my opinion, no, listen, touchdowns, you can't judge a player off of touchdown, a wide receiver just basically off touchdowns. You got to look at yards. Because yards are him getting open, him running routes, him making guys miss.
No, I completely agree. But DeAndre Hopkins only had 200 less yards, and he had 4 more touchdowns.
Okay, and I see what you're saying. I'm just saying in general, like the way I heard it came across right there, it was just based purely off the touchdowns.
Hold on,
Because that's kind of like me saying, I don't know, Eric Decker, not this year obviously, but that's like me saying, oh, he's a top tier wide receiver all the time because he's just such a great red zone threat.
I would also like to point out that they have, within 10, they have the same amount of targets, within 10 targets. And like I said, Antonio Brown had 1,533, and so it's actually less than 200. DeAndre Hopkins had 1,378, okay, plus the 13 touchdowns. So he had about a game, he had a big game more. Antonio Brown had a really good game because Antonio Brown, see, his longest touchdown was 57 yards, which would show me what his best game was. But so he had one big game better than DeAndre Hopkins.
In my mind, though, in order for DeAndre Hopkins to surpass Antonio Brown, he's got to do what Antonio Brown did, and that's just return a punt and just kick dude right in the face. Until he does that,
Now listen, Antonio Brown had 3 years, starting in 2013. He was 1 yard short of 1,500. So if you give him the 1,500, he had 3 years of 1,500 or better yards. And out of the last 5. Out of the last 5 years, he's had 4 years of 1,500 yards or better. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think that if DeAndre Hopkins has a stable quarterback to throw to him like Antonio Brown does, because I feel like if you don't have a stable quarterback throwing to Antonio Brown, he's still going to be great, but he wouldn't be the best in the league because he wouldn't have the opportunity to be the best because the ball wouldn't be there. He wouldn't have the team to be put around him or the situation for the quarterback to be smart enough to, make a back shoulder throw or something like that. So you put DeAndre Hopkins with a good quarterback and a quarterback who consistently gets him the ball, his numbers are going to be better than Antonio Brown's. You can disagree all you want. We'll wait and see because my opinions are waiting games. They're going to be better. Deshaun Watson is going to be better than Marcus Mariota. Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers will be better than Tom Brady. And DeAndre Hopkins will be better than Antonio Brown.
With your logic, you can make that case for anybody. I could say right now that I think Jarvis Landry is the best wide receiver in the NFL.
He could be. He's not, but he could be. He has the skill set to be. But he's not on the same level, and he's had decent quarterbacks thrown to him.
I mean, he's had Tannehill and Cutler.
Yeah.
And Matt Moore.
Those are decent guys. They're still better than Tom Savage.
I'll give you that.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying if you put I'm just saying my last thought on that is if you put a very good wide receiver who's in the top 3, top 4 discussion, and you put him with a good quarterback, a great quarterback such as Big Ben, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, whatever, you put him with a quarterback who consistently get him the ball, he will put up numbers, and I promise you that.
What was his stat line, yardage, and
DeAndre Hopkins this year? He had 50. That's Antonio Brown. I'm sorry. He had 1,378 yards with 13 touchdowns.
So, Jarvis Landry also had, I want to say, right at 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. So
he played a full season with who? Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler.
Mm-hmm.
And one game with Matt Moore.
Matt Moore, and you had who you say is the great Watson. Throwing him the ball for how many games?
5 games.
5 games?
Yep.
And he had how many touchdowns?
He had 7 touchdowns in 5 games.
Okay, so you got 5 games with a great quarterback.
And he had 7.
And Landry had a full season with not even a mediocre quarterback, in my opinion.
And he didn't have double the touchdowns. He had, what you said was 9 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns. What was it?
9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So 1,000 yards and 102 receptions.
Mm-hmm. So what do you like? What are you trying to ask me, or what are you trying to tell me?
What I'm saying is the argument you're making for Hopkins, you can make that same case for Landry.
Yeah, but Landry, what is his second year, third year? Is Landry in the league? Like, what's it like? What's his
third, fourth?
Yes,
third,
like,
fourth.
but I'm saying he hasn't consistently done anything. DeAndre Hopkins has consistently done it without a quarterback.
Who? Jarvis
Landry
hasn't consistently done nothing?
Put up numbers like that.
I'll argue that. You can look that up.
All right. While I'm looking this up, we'll start going into our next topic just a little
So,
bit.
we're going to go into our next topic, but another guy, honestly, I'd like to see with a good quarterback is Josh Gordon. And the Browns, the Browns have $110.5 million in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even leading the league. Leading the league is the 49ers with 114.9.
And I think half of that, about
20
a quarter of that is going to Jimmy G.
Almost a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to go to Jimmy G, and then they're going to have enough money. They're going to have enough money to get him more weapons. I mean, he made Marquise Goodwin look like a star.
Well, they got
he'd be nice. He'd be a nice number 2 for whoever they can go get number 1, whether that's in the draft.
Well, you got Marquise Goodwin. You got Pierre Garçon, who's still really good.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Their defense is, you got Reuben Foster, the other guy they drafted. Like, they're gonna be big. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be a very good team, and a lot of people think that the 49ers were like a terrible team, but they just didn't have a good leader for the team. C.J. Beathard was not leading that team anywhere.
It's Beathard.
Beathard, Bartholomew, whatever. Okay.
Beathard.
He wasn't leading anybody anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So you get Jimmy G in there, you give a different type of if Jimmy G's on that team the whole season, they're in the playoffs. Oh, for sure, no doubt. Absolutely no doubt.
They're going to the playoffs for sure next year.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think they will. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl like Frank Gore said, but I think that they're going to.
With that much cap room, their team and already being how they are, is only going to get better. And a good guy the 49ers can go get is Jarvis Landry. Talk about Jimmy G throwing to him with Goodwin on the opposite.
And Pierre Garçon when he comes back healthy. Like,
that's dirty.
Yeah, there's a lot of options that could come via free agency for you, the draft, stuff like that.
And what are they going to do? I mean, are they going to retain Carlos Hyde? Is he going to walk this season? He's a free agent.
He's coming back. He's coming back. He wants to.
I know the plan was for them to draft Saquon Barkley. Obviously, I don't see that happening.
I don't know if Saquon Barkley goes as high as people think he does. I've heard that the media is a little more sold on him than the NFL is. But also some guy like another big wide receiver that like kind of is controversial, I guess, in the way he plays. That's going to be a free agent is Sammy Watkins. He could be if you got Jimmy G thrown to him. He's in San Francisco.
I mean, he'd stay healthy a full year.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan comes in. He's a young guy, young coach. Watkins come in, can blend and mesh with. You know what I'm saying?
I think him and Jimmy G could be a nice pairing. But
That's
if you're the 49ers, you have to go after Jarvis Landry. You have all this money to spend, and obviously they look like they're a team just on the cusp. They're not there yet, but on the cusp with Jimmy G. You go and you make that deal and you get it done.
You know who is also, speaking of free agents a little bit, somebody who's going to be an intriguing free agent for me is Terrell Pryor. He's a free agent again, or a free agent. And if he goes to a place that's going to throw him the ball, to where like
he go back to Cleveland?
I don't know, to where he wouldn't be the guy, because in Cleveland they kind of expect him to be the guy, and then
in Washington,
yeah,
he betted on himself, and that was a bad bet.
Yeah, exactly. So he might have a chance to be a decent guy.
You know who the Cleveland Browns need to do? They got all this money to spend. They obviously have been. They've proven they can't develop.
If you say something dumb, I'm going to kick you in your shins.
They've proven that they can't develop rookie quarterbacks. And they've already had a deal in place. Go out and sign your guy. You were trading for him. Go sign McCarron. He's a cheaper option. Now, I'm not saying he's the answer long term. But if you think he can't come in there and at least win some games, you're mistaken.
He's not the answer tomorrow, and football doesn't even happen tomorrow.
Bro, he goes back with Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson knows everything there is to know about A.J. McCarron. He was the offensive coordinator with the Bengals. If you're going to tell me they didn't have a trade, they had a trade in place for a reason. They signed McCarron, and you have him throwing to Corey Coleman, Josh Gordon, and whether they bring Crowell back or not, or they draft Saquon Barkley, regardless, he's going to come in there, and they're going to win games, and then you draft a young guy to mold behind him. McCarron's not your long-term answer, but he can be a fix. He can be the duct tape that holds you together until your guy's ready. Why not? Why not draft Josh Allen number 4? He's already said he wants to be there. He wants to be the guy to turn him around, but he's not ready to come in and play yet. A.J. McCarron makes perfect sense.
Bill O'Brien knows everything about Matt McGloin. Was he good football sense? Just because a person is relatable to another player, a coach is relatable to a player, doesn't mean they're answer.
Listen,
Nope, it's my turn to talk, Chase. If you have money to spend, like the Browns have money to spend.
Obviously, you go after Kirk.
Why in the world are you going? With all the quarterbacks you have to draft, with all the quarterbacks you have.
Rookie.
Okay, then you still have Alex Smith. You have Jimmy G, who's not going to leave San Francisco, but you can try. You still have other guys that are going to
franchise tag him.
That are going to be franchise quarterbacks.
Irrelevant.
Tyrod Taylor, guys like that who are going to Drew Brees, who's not going to leave the Saints.
Listen,
those are all better than AJ McCarron.
Listen, I'm not saying they're not. But if you go and you strike out on Kirk Cousins, you're not going to be able to just get a rookie quarterback, and he can't just come in and play. The Browns can't do it. Hell, they draft Johnny Manziel. I thought he was going to be the next big thing. He can't stay off the crack pot.
He
can't stay off the crack pot, bro.
He's the exception.
You're going to sign. If you miss on these high, big name prospects, quarterbacks, you sign McCarron. You just fix it. You sign him to a 2-year deal. That's all you got to do. He comes in. Worst case scenario, he does good. Or best case scenario, he does good. Worst case scenario, you don't win a game. Cleveland fans are used to it. Win.
I cannot believe that you're sitting here telling me that A.J. McCarron is a viable quarterback option.
He is.
I would sign Josh McCown before I would sign him.
Listen, the worst case scenario for the Browns is they run into a situation like the Seahawks did. They signed Matt Flynn. Russell Wilson comes in, gets a starting job. If they draft a rookie and he's able to come in and do it, great. But why were they trading for McCarron? They were trading for him because they wanted him.
Why are you signing? No, they made a trade for him because they didn't want to lose all 16 games.
Exactly. They know he can win.
And he could have beat the Titans. That's about it.
Shit.
He could have beat the Titans, and that's about it. My thing is, if you have that much money to spend, and you have a team that is on the come up.
Now, I see what you're saying. If you have
No, you
that money
don't.
to spend, if you have that money to spend, you go get your guy. But Kirk Cousins may not want to come there.
I'm not even. See, that's
None
not
of
even,
these guys
that's not
might
even
not
what I'm
want to
saying.
come
That's not
there.
even what I'm saying. If you have the money to spend, why would you spend it on AJ McCarron?
Because
It is a lateral movement. He will be no better than Deshaun Kaiser.
You're crazy. You're crazy. Deshaun Kaiser
He might
is hot
throw.
garbage.
He might throw the ball a little less to the other team in the red zone, but he's still not gonna. Because this is the thing. If you're a Browns,
I'll go ahead and tell you
player,
right now, if they sign McCarron and he comes in, you're going to be eating a lot of crow, buddy.
They're not
a lot
signing
of crow.
AJ McCarron.
A lot of crow. Yes, they will. Watch.
I feel like I'm a magician trying to pull rabbits out of a hat because this opinion is.
Listen,
just
I feel like
ridiculous.
I'm talking to an absolute dumbass. That's how I feel, and you're just not getting.
You're
it.
telling me.
I feel like honestly how my trigonometry teacher in high school felt talking to me because I just didn't get it. I didn't have a damn clue, and that's how I feel like right now.
So you're
man.
telling me as a football team who just lost 16 games.
Yes,
You're telling me it's okay to go out. Your fan base is going to be okay. Your fan base is going to be okay with you signing a less than mediocre quarterback to win maybe 3 more games than you do.
Yes.
You're
Because
If
do
I
you know-
win
do you
if
know
I
how
lose
outraged-
16 games and
do
I
you
have
know
the
how-
money to buy anybody in the league and I just lost 16 games and I'm a fan and you tell me that I'm going to sign freaking AJ McCarron, I will leave that team and never watch another game. I just lost 16. I didn't lose in the playoffs, Chase. I lost 16 games.
Do you know how mad the fans were that they didn't get that deal done in time, that the Browns didn't get that deal done in time? They wanted McCarron.
Because
And
they had no
still
other
do.
option. Because
You
they had no
take
other option.
You take McCarron and you draft Josh Allen. That's all you do. You're good. You're good for the next 5 to 10 years.
With AJ McCarron, are you kidding?
He's not the guy.
Then why are you going to sign him if
Because
he's not the
You
guy?
sign him because he's a fix. Until Josh Allen's ready, you have McCarron.
So what happens if Josh Allen never gets ready, or you don't draft
Did Aaron
him?
Rodgers get ready behind Brett Favre?
You're about to compare.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. Quarterbacks sit and mold. Patrick Mahomes is sitting behind Alex Smith. A rookie, it's not absurd to draft a rookie in the first round and let him sit. Hell, Paxton
But he's
Lynch.
sitting behind
Paxton Lynch
AJ
is sat.
McCarron.
Paxton Lynch was sitting behind Trevor Siemian.
And look what happened. He goes in the game and he gets hurt. And when he was in the game, he barely did anything.
It does. Listen,
Jacoby Brissett sat behind one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And what is he doing? Absolute hot garbage. AJ McCarron is going to come into the Cleveland Browns, and they're not going to win any more games than they're going to. They may win 2 games. They may win 2 games, and that's it. And if I'm the
Listen,
Cleveland Browns,
listen.
I do not want to win 2 games. I
Listen.
want to win at least 6.
Tex, I'm telling you right now, if the Cleveland Browns sign A.J. McCarron,
They're not going to.
If they strike out on everybody and they sign A.J. McCarron, you're going to be eating a lot of freaking crow. He's not trash. He's not trash. Look at the games he started. Pull up his stats from games he started. He showed that he's got it. And he's been sitting behind Andy Dalton. You think the Cincinnati Bengals, they would be okay if they had A.J. McCarron and not Andy Dalton. They would be okay starting A.J. McCarron. He's a proven winner.
A proven winner. Are you kidding me?
Goff sat behind a nobody, and he was successful this year. So your sitting argument is invalid.
A.J. McCarron has started 3 games.
3 games.
In the National Football League.
Okay, and he is a proven winner. He did nothing but win at Alabama.
So college matters in the NFL.
College experience, yes, it does.
So it matters in the NFL.
Yes.
So Johnny Manziel won at Texas A&M.
Did he ever win anything big at Texas A&M? Did he win a national championship? Johnny Manziel's problem is he couldn't stay off the crack pipe. Johnny Manziel's problem is he couldn't grow up. He couldn't leave high school. He couldn't leave college. That's Manziel's problem. He's going to be a hell of a player in the XFL if McMahon lets him in, but who knows? He's got a DUI.
I would just like, for the record, to say that one of the greatest college quarterbacks is Tim, I praise the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Tebow, and he flamed out in the NFL.
Did he flame out?
Yes.
Look at his season with Denver.
So one good season matters.
Leads them. No, listen, he leads them. He leads them to the playoffs. Knocks the Steelers out in the first round. John Elway says he's the guy. They're keeping him. They don't, because obviously Peyton Manning comes available. You obviously go after Peyton Manning. No other team signs Tebow to come in and be a quarterback. He wasn't cutting it as a tight end for the Patriots. He wasn't cutting it. Nobody else needed him. But I think if he would have stayed and he was able to stay as a quarterback, yeah, he'd have been fine. He showed he could win games. Tebow time didn't just happen overnight. It was like insanity.
A.J. McCarron has shown nothing in the NFL.
I'm telling you right now, if A.J. McCarron goes to a team and starts, you're going to be eating so much crow.
So you're saying A.J. McCarron...
Mark it down, January 29th, 2018.
So you're saying A.J. McCarron's good because he's won 2 games in the NFL?
He's shown that he's got what it takes, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's good because he's won 2 games. He's been doing nothing but sitting there, learning more and more. And whenever he's got the opportunity, when his number's been called to come into the game, he's delivered.
So it's only been called 3 times.
And he's delivered every time.
No, he's won 2 and he's also won.
He lost 1 to the Steelers. He done everything to win that game. It ain't his fault. His defense goes out there and chokes and just gets flag after flag after flag because Vontae's perfect. Doesn't know how to just not draw unnecessary roughness.
Is he better than some of the trash quarterbacks? Yes. I will give you that.
And I'm not saying Cleveland needs to sign him to be the guy. I'm saying
he had,
sign
in
him
the
for
3
a year
games
or
that
2.
he started, he had
obviously, if you're able to go get Cousins, you talk to Cousins. If you're able to go get Smith, you talk to Smith. I'm saying if those guys say no, he's not that bad of a fallback plan.
Okay, I'll say this. 192 yards, 200 yards, 160 yards.
It ain't all about yards, bud.
1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns.
It's about not. He's a game manager. He's not going to have flashy stats. You don't have to have flashy stats. You just don't turn the ball over, and you got to be serviceable enough to where they know you can throw it.
Listen,
but that way they don't just bank on you running the ball.
If this was a stopgap, if the Texans were to sign A.J. McCarron last year after Deshaun Watson gets hurt, I understand your argument. If somebody else, if another quarterback, like if Marcus Mariota would have got hurt and the Titans signed him as a backup to Marcus Mariota, I understand your argument. I'm talking about a franchise that just lost 16 games. 16 games they just lost, and you're telling me they won't burn down the place if they sign A.J. McCarron?
No, they won't.
Okay. I completely disagree, but that's okay. Completely disagree.
I guess we'll find out because it's going to happen.
It won't.
Yes, it will. You think Hugh Jackson isn't going to be like, hey, I was trading for him. They're trading for him. You think they weren't going to get a deal done? They're going to try to sign him.
Because they had to.
They're still going to try to sign him. No, they didn't have to.
To win a game. Yes, it was win a game. It was either trade for A.J. McCarron or lose 16 games. Guess what happened? They lost 16.
Listen,
with all this money they have, they're not signing
I'm telling
A.J.
you
McCarron.
right now, if they strike out on Cousins and they strike out on Smith, they're signing McCarron.
Okay.
The only way they don't sign McCarron is if they sign Cousins or Smith.
Hey guys, I have 3 email accounts: Brendan Armstreet at Yahoo, bgarmstreet42 at tntech.edu, and Brendan Armstreet 7 at Gmail. Please email your resumes because I need a new co-host. Thank you guys.
Is that how we're ending the show?
Yep.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. Don't send him a damn email because he don't need one.